Story 1. The Dispatcher Who Spoke from the Future. My dispatcher started giving me delivery instructions for loads I hadn't picked up yet, routes I hadn't driven, accidents I hadn't experienced. She was calling me from 3 days in the future, and she had no idea she was doing it. My name is Anthony Delgado, 42 years old, hauling refrigerated freight for CR England. I'd been working with dispatcher Sarah Chen for 6 years. We had a good rhythm, professional, efficient. She knew my routes, my preferences, my schedule better than I did. The first strange call came on a Tuesday morning. I was in Kansas City just finishing a delivery when my phone rang. Sarah's number. I answered. "Anthony, thank God you're okay." Her voice was shaking, crying. "I just heard about the accident. Are you hurt? Did the paramedics check you out?" "What accident?" "Sarah, I'm fine. I'm just finishing unloading in Kansas City." Silence. Long silence. Then, "Kansas City, but you're supposed to be in Denver. You left Kansas City 3 days ago." "No, I'm here right now. I can see the warehouse dock from my cab." "Anthony, what day is it?" "Tuesday, October 17th. "No." Her voice went cold. "It's Friday, October 20th. You left Kansas City on Tuesday. You picked up a load in Denver on Wednesday. And Thursday evening you had a rollover accident on I-70 in Utah. The highway patrol called me an hour ago. They said your truck went off the road, that you were being airlifted to a hospital in Salt Lake City. I've been trying to call you for an hour." "Sarah, I'm telling you it's Tuesday. I'm in Kansas City right now. I haven't been to Denver. I haven't had any accident." The call disconnected. I checked my phone. The date display said Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I checked my truck's computer. Same date. I checked a newspaper at the truck stop. Tuesday. But Sarah had been calling from Friday. 3 days in my future, describing events that hadn't happened yet. I tried calling her back, straight to voicemail. I left a message. "Sarah, I don't know what's happening, but I'm okay. It's Tuesday here. Whatever you're experiencing, whatever Friday you're in, I haven't gotten there yet." I continued my route, tried to put it out of my mind. Stress-induced confusion. She'd gotten her days mixed up. Simple explanation. Wednesday morning, I was in Denver picking up a load when she called again. "Anthony, where are you?" Frantic, terrified. "Denver, at the freight terminal, just like the schedule says." "No, you're supposed to be in Salt Lake City at the hospital. You had the accident yesterday. I visited you. You were unconscious. They said you might not wake up, but you're talking to me. How are you talking to me?" "Sarah, what date is it there?" "Saturday, October 21st. Anthony, you've been in a coma for 2 days. How are you calling me? The doctor said you might have brain damage, that you might never—" Her voice broke into sobs. "It's Wednesday here, October 18th. I didn't have any accident. I'm fine. This doesn't make sense. I'm looking at you right now, in the hospital bed. You're not moving, you're not talking, but I'm hearing your voice on the phone. How is this possible?" I felt ice in my stomach. "You're at the hospital right now?" "Yes, I drove to Salt Lake City this morning. I'm sitting next to your bed. You're here, unconscious, but somehow you're also calling me from the past, from before the accident." "Sarah, listen to me carefully. What time did the accident happen?" "Thursday evening around 7 p.m., Mountain Time. I-70 eastbound, mile marker 134, black ice. You lost control, went over an embankment. The truck rolled 3 times. I checked my GPS. I was scheduled to be on I-70 eastbound tomorrow evening. My route would take me through mile marker 134 around 7 p.m. Exactly when and where Sarah said the accident would happen." "I'm going to change my route," I said. "I'll avoid that section. Take an alternate road. If I don't drive through mile marker 134, the accident won't happen." "Anthony, you already drove through there. The accident already happened. I'm looking at you right now. You're here. You're hurt. Changing your route now doesn't change what already happened to you. But it hasn't happened yet. Not in my timeline. It's still Wednesday. I can prevent it. Can you? Or are you trapped, destined to drive that route tomorrow no matter what you choose? Because from where I'm sitting, you already made that drive, already had that accident, already ended up in this hospital bed. Your prevention attempt already failed. The call dropped. I stood in the Denver freight terminal, shaking. Sarah was calling from 3 days ahead, describing events that were in my future but her past. And according to her timeline, I couldn't prevent the accident. It had already happened. I was already in a coma. But in my timeline, it was still preventable. I still had control. I could choose a different route, avoid I-70 completely, change the future Sarah was describing. I called my dispatcher, the Wednesday version, the one in my timeline. I need to reroute tomorrow's drive, avoid I-70 through Utah, take I-80 through Wyoming instead. That adds 200 miles and 6 hours. Why? Personal reasons, family issue. I need to take the northern route. She approved it reluctantly. I felt relief. I'd changed the route, avoided mile marker 134. The accident wouldn't happen. Sarah's future would change. Thursday came. I drove north through Wyoming on I-80, nowhere near Utah, nowhere near the accident site. I drove carefully, watching for black ice, for any hazards. 7 p.m. passed. I was 300 miles north of where the accident was supposed to happen. Safe. My phone rang. Sarah, the Friday version. Anthony, oh my God, you're alive. You just woke up. The doctor said it's a miracle. The brain swelling went down. You opened your eyes. You spoke my name. You're going to be okay. Sarah, I didn't have the accident. I rerouted. I took I-80 through Wyoming. I wasn't anywhere near Utah. What? No, you were on I-70. I have the highway patrol report, mile marker 134. Your truck went over the embankment at 7:03 p.m. I'm telling you, I wasn't there. I'm on I-80. I'm fine. No accident, no hospital. Silence. Then, Anthony, I'm looking at you right now. You're in the hospital bed. You just woke up. You're talking to the doctors. You're here in Salt Lake City. How can you also be on I-80 in Wyoming? I pulled over, checked my mirrors. Behind me, the highway stretched empty. Ahead, darkness. I was alone on I-80, but according to Sarah, I was also in a hospital in Salt Lake City. 2 places simultaneously. I think we're in different timelines, I said slowly. You're calling from a timeline where I took I-70 and crashed. I'm in a timeline where I took I-80 and didn't crash. But somehow your calls are crossing between timelines. You're experiencing the crash timeline. I'm experiencing the no-crash timeline. So which one is real? Maybe both. Maybe every choice creates a split. In one timeline, I went south and crashed. In another timeline, I went north and didn't. You're in the crash timeline, I'm in the safe timeline. But we can still communicate because, I don't know. Because something about the accident created a connection between our timelines. If we're in different timelines, why do you keep getting my calls? Why can I reach you? Maybe because in both timelines you're still my dispatcher. Still trying to contact me. Still worried about me. The emotional connection is strong enough to bridge the timelines. Your calls are finding me across the split. Saturday morning. Sarah called again. This time she was calmer, more analytical. I've been thinking about what you said, about different timelines. I think you're right. But there's a problem. The Anthony in my timeline, the one who crashed, he's you. Same memories, same personality, same everything. He remembers rerouting to I-80. He remembers trying to avoid the accident. He remembers being on the northern route, but he crashed anyway on I-70 at mile marker 134. That's impossible. If he took I-80, he couldn't crash on I-70. Unless the accident is a fixed point, a temporal constant, Something that happens in every timeline, regardless of choices. You tried to avoid it, he tried to avoid it, but the accident happened. Anyway, maybe I-80 developed black ice. Maybe you crashed there instead. Maybe the details changed, but the outcome didn't. Maybe no matter what route you take, you end up in this hospital on Friday, October 20th. I felt sick. You're saying the accident is inevitable? I'm saying it already happened, in my timeline. And my timeline seems to be 3 days ahead of yours, which means in 3 days, your Thursday becomes my Sunday, your Friday becomes my Monday, and your experience will catch up to mine. You'll remember having the accident, you'll remember being in the hospital, because from my perspective, that already happened to you. I can't accept that. I'm going to keep driving carefully. I'm going to avoid every possible hazard. I'm going to make sure I don't crash. That's what he said too, the Anthony in my timeline. He said the exact same thing Wednesday, but Thursday evening he crashed anyway. And now it's Saturday and he's finally awake and he's confused about why he's in a hospital when he remembers driving safely. Sunday morning, my timeline, October 22nd. I woke up in my sleeper cab, no accident, no hospital. I'd driven safely through Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'd made it to my destination in Montana, delivered my load, everything was normal. Except I felt wrong, like something was missing, like part of my memory was corrupted or erased. I called Sarah, my timeline Sarah, the one in my present. Hey Sarah, I need to ask you something weird. Did I have an accident last week? Anthony, are you okay? You had a serious rollover on I-70 in Utah Thursday evening, don't you remember? You were in the hospital for 2 days. I visited you. We had long conversations while you were recovering. The doctors said you might have some memory issues from the head trauma, but I didn't think it would be this severe. What? No. I rerouted. I took I-80. I didn't crash. Anthony, you're scaring me. Your truck is in an impound lot in Utah. Totaled. The insurance company is processing the claim. You've been off work for 4 days recovering. How can you not remember this? I checked my truck. I was sitting in it. My truck. Same vehicle I'd been driving all week. Not totaled. Not impounded. Right here in Montana. Sarah, what truck am I driving right now if my truck is totaled in Utah? You're not driving any truck. You're in a hotel in Salt Lake City recovering. We talked about this yesterday. You're not cleared to drive yet. The company put you up in a hotel until you're medically released. I looked around my cab. Solid, real. I could touch everything. Smell the diesel, feel the steering wheel. This wasn't a hotel. This was my truck. I think something's wrong with timelines, I said. I think I'm in a version of reality where I didn't crash. But you're in a version where I did. And our realities are overlapping, conflicting. Anthony, I'm calling an ambulance. You're experiencing serious confusion, possible brain injury complications. Stay where you are. Tell me your location. I'm in Montana, at a truck stop in Billings. Montana? Anthony, you're in Utah. You haven't left Utah. You've been in the same hotel room for 4 days. I'm going to call the hotel, have them check on you. The call ended. I sat in my truck, trying to understand. In Sarah's timeline, I'd crashed and was recovering. In my timeline, I hadn't crashed and was still driving. But the timelines were converging. She remembered me being in Utah. I remembered being in Montana. Both memories felt real. Both felt accurate. I checked my logs. They showed Utah, showed the accident, showed 4 days of downtime. But my GPS showed Montana, showed continuous driving, showed no interruption. My paperwork showed both realities simultaneously. Like 2 timelines were merging, overlapping, fighting for dominance. I looked at my hands. They were scarred, fresh scars from the accident. Cuts that were healing. I didn't remember getting them, but they were there, physical evidence of a crash I didn't experience. I checked my body. bruises, soreness. My ribs hurt, like they'd been broken and were healing. I didn't remember any pain, but now that I was looking for it, now that I was aware of it, I felt it. The aftermath of an accident I'd somehow avoided and experienced simultaneously. The phone rang. Sarah again. "Anthony, the hotel says you're not there. Your room is empty. Where are you really?" "I'm in Montana, but I'm also in Utah. I think I'm in both places. Both timelines are real. I crashed and didn't crash. I'm injured and fine. I'm recovering and driving, all of it simultaneously." "That's not possible." "Then explain the scars, explain the pain, explain how my logs show Utah but my GPS shows Montana. Explain how I remember avoiding the accident but also remember having it. Both memories are equally real. Both timelines exist. I'm living both of them at the same time." Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then, "When I call you, what timeline do I reach?" "I don't know. Maybe whichever one is strongest at that moment. Maybe you're calling both versions of me and only hearing one. Maybe your calls are collapsing the superposition, forcing me to be in one timeline or the other. What happens when the timelines fully converge? I don't know. Maybe I'll remember both. Maybe I'll only remember one. Maybe I'll cease to exist entirely because the contradiction is too great to sustain. Maybe the universe will choose which timeline is real and erase the other. I'm still driving, still answering Sarah's calls, still experiencing both timelines simultaneously. Some days I remember the crash, feel the injuries, experience the recovery. Other days I remember avoiding it, feel healthy, experience uninterrupted driving. Both realities are real. Both versions of me exist. And Sarah's calls from the future keep coming. Keep describing events that are simultaneously in my past and my future. Events that happened and didn't happen. Events that exist in the overlap between timelines. I don't know which timeline is real anymore. Don't know which version of me is the original. Don't know if the accident was inevitable or avoidable. All I know is that every time Sarah calls, she's calling from a slightly different future, a slightly different timeline, and each call changes which reality I'm experiencing. Each conversation shifts me between the crashed version and the safe version. I'm a trucker in superposition, existing in multiple timelines simultaneously, living both outcomes of a choice I did and didn't make. And somewhere, 3 days in the future, Sarah keeps calling, keeps checking on me, keeps describing a reality I may or may not be living. The phone is ringing now. It's Sarah, from Tuesday, or Friday, or Sunday, from a future that's also my past, from a timeline that's also my present. I don't know which version of me will answer, don't know which reality I'll be in when I pick up. But I'll answer, because she's worried, because she cares, because across all timelines she's still my dispatcher, still trying to keep me safe, even if she's describing accidents I haven't had yet, or already survived, or am currently experiencing in a parallel reality. The phone is still ringing. I should answer it, but I'm afraid of what day she'll say it is, afraid of which timeline will become real when I hear her voice. Story 2. The weigh station that measured your sins. The scale said my truck weighed negative 47,000 pounds. The officer said I was the lightest soul he'd measured in 30 years. And then he showed me what happens to drivers who weigh too much. My name is Father Miguel Santoro. Yes, Father. I'm a Catholic priest, 58 years old. I drive a truck hauling religious supplies, books, vestments, sacramental items to parishes across the Southwest. It's unusual, I know, a priest who drives trucks. But ministry takes many forms, and someone needs to deliver these supplies. The weigh station was off I-10 in New Mexico, standard agricultural inspection point. I'd passed through it dozens of times, but this time, when I pulled onto the scale, the display showed something impossible. Weight, 47,000 lbs. Negative weight. Like my truck was repelling gravity instead of being pulled by it. The speaker crackled. Driver, proceed to inspection bay 1 immediately. I pulled forward. An officer approached, elderly, maybe 75, wearing a uniform I didn't recognize. Not state police, not DOT, something else. The badges showed symbols that looked religious. Crosses, scales, the sword of judgment. "I, Father Santoro," he said, reading my name from somewhere I couldn't see. "Interesting case, negative weight, that's rare, very rare. Most drivers who come through here are heavily overloaded. You're the opposite, you're light, buoyant, almost floating." "I don't understand, what's being measured?" "Sins, Father. This scale measures the weight of sins. Every wrong action, every harmful choice, every moment of cruelty or selfishness or violence, they accumulate, create spiritual weight. Most people are heavily loaded, you're carrying almost nothing. 47,000 pounds of grace offsetting whatever sins you have accumulated, that's remarkable. This is a weigh station. You measure trucks, not souls." "We measure both. The physical scale outside measures your cargo. This scale measures your conscience. Both measurements are necessary for safe travel. A truck can be physically compliant but spiritually dangerous. An overloaded soul is more likely to cause accidents, more likely to make poor decisions, more likely to harm others. We identify those drivers, remove them from the road before they cause damage." He gestured toward a window. Through it I saw a detention area, dozens of trucks parked, drivers sitting outside their cabs. All of them looked exhausted, defeated, crushed under invisible weight. Those are the overloaded drivers, the ones carrying too much sin. They can't leave until they unload, until they confess. Seek forgiveness. Make amends. Some of them have been here for months, years, unable to release the weight. You're imprisoning people for their sins? We're protecting the public. A driver carrying 300,000 pounds of unresolved guilt is a danger. They're unstable, prone to rage, prone to suicide, prone to taking others with them. The highway is dangerous enough without spiritually overloaded drivers making it worse. He led me inside the inspection station. It was part weigh station, part confessional, part courtroom. Drivers sat in booths, speaking to officers, going through their sins one by one, confessing, explaining, justifying. "This is wrong," I said. "You can't force people to confess. Can't hold them captive based on spiritual measurements." "Can't we?" "Society accepts physical weigh stations, accepts removing overloaded trucks from the road for safety. Why not spiritual weigh stations? Why not remove overloaded souls? The principle is the same. Safety through measurement and enforcement. Because souls aren't trucks, sins aren't cargo, you can't measure spiritual weight with a scale. But we do, and we're remarkably accurate. Every driver who measures as overloaded has a history, criminal records, abuse, violence, neglect. The scale doesn't lie, the weight is real. We're simply making it visible, giving people a chance to address it before it destroys them." He pulled up a file on a computer, a driver named Michael Henderson. The scale had measured him at 483,000 pounds of sin. The file showed his history: 3 DUIs, 2 domestic violence arrests, 1 vehicular manslaughter charge, multiple accusations of assault. This man shouldn't be driving. He's a danger to everyone. The scale identified that. We removed him from the road. He's been here 6 weeks. Going through mandatory therapy, addiction treatment, anger management. When he's unloaded enough, when he's down to a safe weight, we'll release him. But not before. You're not law enforcement. You can't detain people. We're federal, created by an executive order in 1947. After too many accidents caused by unstable drivers, too many deaths from people who shouldn't have been on the road. The government recognized that physical regulations weren't enough, that spiritual health mattered too. So they created this system, scales at select way stations across the country, measuring souls, removing the dangerous ones, saving lives. I wanted to argue, wanted to say this was unconstitutional, immoral, wrong. But I'd seen the file, seen Henderson's history, seen the pattern of violence and danger, and I knew, as a priest who'd heard thousands of confessions, that sins did create weight, did burden people, did make them dangerous. But forcing confession? Imprisoning people for spiritual overweight? That felt like crossing a line. Why am I negative weight? I asked. You're a priest. You've spent your life serving others, hearing confessions, offering forgiveness that creates grace, creates lightness. Every sin you've helped someone release, every burden you've helped someone carry, it reduces your own weight. You've accumulated so much grace that you're actually lighter than baseline. You're buoyant, spiritually airborne. I'm not perfect. I've sinned, made mistakes. Of course, everyone has. But your ratio is remarkable. For every pound of sin you've accumulated, you've earned 30 pounds of grace. That's why you measure negative. Your grace exceeds your sin by a massive margin. You're one of maybe 10 drivers nationwide who measure negative. Most priests are neutral, zero weight, balanced. But you've gone beyond that. He walked me to another window. This one overlooked a different area. Not a detention zone, a garden. Beautiful, peaceful. A few drivers sitting on benches, meditating, praying, reading. Those are the negative weight drivers, the ones who measure below zero. We offer them a choice. They can continue driving, or they can stay here. Work with the overloaded drivers. Help them unload. Use their grace to offset others' sins. Many choose to stay, to serve, to help. It's powerful work, life-changing work. You want me to stay, to help unload these drivers? I'm offering. You're not required. You're free to leave. Negative weight drivers always are. But consider it. These drivers need what you have, need your ability to hear without judging, to help without condemning, to offer forgiveness they can't give themselves. You could save lives here, more directly than hauling supplies to parishes. I looked at the detention area, at the drivers crushed under their own sins, at the weight they couldn't release alone. And I thought about my calling, about what it meant to be a priest, to serve, to help, to carry burdens with those who couldn't carry them alone. How long would I stay? As long as you choose. Some negative weight drivers stay for weeks. Help a dozen overloaded drivers unload, then leave. Some stay years. Make it their ministry. We pay standard wages, provide housing. It's a job, but also a calling. I made a decision. I'll stay for 1 month, help whoever I can, then I'll reassess. That was 3 years ago. I'm still here, at the way station, measuring souls, helping overloaded drivers unload their sins, offering confession, offering forgiveness, offering grace. I've helped 83 drivers reduce their weight enough to leave, helped them confront their sins, make amends, seek forgiveness, change their paths. Some of them still email me, tell me they're doing better, driving safer, living lighter, and every day more overloaded drivers arrive, measured on the scale, found to be carrying dangerous weight, detained until they can unload. Is it ethical? I still don't know. Is it constitutional? Probably not. Does it save lives? Absolutely. I've seen the statistics. Drivers who go through this program have 90% fewer accidents, 85% fewer incidents of road rage, 70% reduction in substance abuse. The scale works, the measurement is accurate, and the intervention saves lives. But it's also terrifying, the idea that every driver can be measured, weighed, judged, found to be carrying too much sin and detained. It's a system ripe for abuse, for overreach, for using spiritual measurements to control people. I stay because I believe I can help, can prevent the worst abuses, can ensure the system is used for healing, not punishment. can offer genuine grace instead of coerced confession. But some nights I wonder if I'm complicit in something wrong, if I'm enabling a system that violates fundamental rights, if my desire to help is blinding me to the ethical problems. The scale says I still measure negative weight, still carry more grace than sin, still buoyant, spiritually light, but I feel heavy, burdened by the complexity, by the moral ambiguity, by the knowledge that this system helps people but also controls them. I'm a priest who drives trucks, except I don't drive anymore. I sit at a weigh station, measuring souls, helping the overloaded, questioning whether this work is ministry or something darker. The scale doesn't lie, but it doesn't tell the whole truth either. Weight isn't the only measure of a person. Sin isn't the only story. Grace isn't the only answer. But it's what I have, what I offer, what I use to help drivers find their way back to themselves. One confession at a time, one forgiveness at a time, one soul at a time. Negative 47,000 pounds, that's what I weigh. That's what keeps me here. That's what makes me useful in this strange ministry at the intersection of highway and heaven. The scale measures. I listen. And together we try to make the roads a little safer, one lighter soul at a time. Story 3. The load that was already delivered. I picked up a load in Phoenix that my paperwork said I'd already delivered to Chicago 3 weeks ago, successfully, with a signature from the receiving manager. But I'd never been to Chicago, never hauled this freight, never made this delivery. Yet according to every system I already had. My name is Derek Paulson, 33 years old, driving for Schneider National. The load was 48 pallets of electronics, standard freight, nothing unusual. But when I scanned the BOL at pickup, the system flagged it as a duplicate. This load was already delivered, the warehouse manager said. October 3rd, you signed for pickup in Phoenix, delivered October 6th in Chicago. Receiver signature confirmed, payment processed. Why are you picking it up again? I've never hauled this load. I was in California on October 3rd, nowhere near Phoenix. He showed me the records, my truck number, my driver ID, my digital signature on the pickup confirmation. GPS tracking showing my truck traveling from Phoenix to Chicago between October 3rd and 6th. Everything documented, everything official. Except I'd been in California hauling produce. I had my own records to prove it, my own GPS logs, my own delivery confirmations from different customers. You can't have been in 2 places at once, the manager said. Either you were in California or you were delivering this Chicago load, not both. But I have proof of both. He pulled up the Chicago delivery record. There was a photo, required by the customer, a photo of my truck at their loading dock. Time-stamped October 6th, 9:37 a.m. It was my truck. Same number, same paint scheme, same minor damage on the driver's side door. But I'd been in California. I had photos from that same day. Me at a different dock, different state, different load. I think there are 2 versions of this delivery, I said slowly. One that happened and one that's happening. Maybe timelines split. Maybe I'm experiencing one version while records show another. That doesn't make sense. Does any of this make sense? How can I pick up a load I already delivered? How can my truck be in 2 places on the same day? Something impossible is happening. He processed the pickup anyway. Couldn't figure out what else to do. I loaded the freight, started driving toward Chicago. But the whole time I felt strange, like I was repeating actions I'd already performed, like I was driving a route I'd already driven. At a rest stop in New Mexico, I called the Chicago receiver. This is Derek Paulson with Schneider. I'm hauling load number HX47821. Should arrive Friday morning. Derek, you already delivered that load 3 weeks ago. We unloaded it. Everything's in our inventory. Why are you calling about a completed delivery? I'm driving it right now. It's in my trailer. I picked it up today in Phoenix. That's impossible. We have the freight. It's been sitting in our warehouse for 3 weeks. We've already distributed half of it to our retail locations. Can you check right now? Physically verify the freight is there? He put me on hold. 5 minutes later. Okay, this is weird. The freight is here. All 48 pallets. Exactly where it should be, but according to our inventory system, it was also just scanned at your pickup location in Phoenix. The same freight is in 2 places simultaneously. What happens if I deliver the load I'm carrying? If the freight already exists in your warehouse, what happens when I arrive with a duplicate? I have no idea. This has never happened before. Freight can't duplicate, can't exist in 2 places. It violates basic physics. I kept driving. Through New Mexico, through Texas, through Oklahoma, and the further I drove, the stranger things became. My GPS started showing 2 positions simultaneously. One showing my current location. One showing a position 3 weeks in the past, following the same route. My truck's odometer was counting up and down simultaneously, adding miles and subtracting them, like I was traveling forward and backward through time at the same time. I pulled over in Missouri, tried to make sense of what was happening. That's when I saw it. Another truck, parked 50 yards ahead, same model, same number, same paint scheme. My truck, a duplicate, parked at the same rest stop. I walked toward it. The closer I got, the more details matched. Same damage, same dirt patterns, same everything. I looked in the driver's window. I was inside, sleeping in the berth, a version of me from 3 weeks ago making the original delivery to Chicago. I knocked on the window. The other me woke up, looked out. His face went white. He scrambled out of the cab, staring at me like I was a ghost. "Who are you?" he demanded. "I'm you, Derek Paulson, October 24th. I'm hauling load HX47821 to Chicago." "That's impossible. I'm Derek Paulson, October 3rd. I'm hauling that same load to Chicago." We stared at each other. Perfect mirror images, 3 weeks apart, both hauling the same freight to the same destination, both existing in the same rest stop simultaneously. "This is a time loop," I said, "or a timeline overlap. We're the same person from different points in the same journey, except we shouldn't be able to see each other, shouldn't be able to interact. But something's breaking down. The separation between our time periods is collapsing. What happens when we both arrive in Chicago, when we both try to deliver the same freight? I don't know. Maybe the timelines converge, maybe one of us ceases to exist. Maybe the freight duplicates and both deliveries are valid, or maybe reality breaks completely and neither delivery happens. We heard an engine, turned around. Another truck was pulling into the rest stop. Same model, same number, same paint scheme. A third version of my truck. The driver got out, looked at both of us. "Derek Paulson? Which one of you is October 17th? "Neither," I said. "I'm October 24th. He's October 3rd. "I'm October 17th, middle iteration. I'm between both of you. Also hauling HX47821 to Chicago. Also experiencing weird timeline overlaps." More trucks arrived. October 10th, October 31st, November 7th. All different dates, all the same driver, all hauling the same load, all converging on this rest stop in Missouri. By midnight, there were 17 versions of me. 17 identical trucks, all carrying the same 48 pallets of electronics, all scheduled for the same Chicago delivery, all existing simultaneously. We held a meeting. All 17 versions sitting together, trying to figure out what was happening. The oldest version, November 14th, 3 weeks ahead of me, spoke first. "I think the load is causing this, the freight itself. I did some research. The electronics we're hauling, they're quantum processors. Experimental technology, they exist in superposition, multiple states simultaneously. Maybe hauling them is creating temporal instability, making our trucks exist in multiple time periods at once. So we're all real, all equally valid versions of the same delivery? I think so. The load can't be delivered because it exists in too many time states. Every time one of us tries to deliver, it creates a new timeline, a new iteration, and all the iterations are becoming visible, overlapping, converging. What do? I asked. We can't deliver. If we deliver, the loop continues. More iterations get created, more versions of us. Eventually, there might be hundreds, thousands, all hauling the same load, all trapped in this temporal loop. So we're stuck, can't complete the delivery? I think we need to unload together, all 17 versions, at the same time and place. Combine all the freight, create a single unified load, then deliver it as a collective. That might collapse the timelines. Merge all the iterations into one definitive delivery. We tried it, drove all 17 trucks to Chicago, arrived simultaneously, backed into 17 adjacent docks, started unloading together. As we unloaded, the trucks started to blur. The separation between versions became less distinct. My truck and the October 3rd truck overlapped, became translucent, started occupying the same space. The freight merged too. 48 pallets became 48 pallets, not 17 times 48, just 48. All the duplicate freight combining into one definitive shipment. And the versions of me started merging. I felt other memories flooding in. The October 3rd journey, the October 10th journey, all 17 trips happening simultaneously in my consciousness. I was driving all of them at once, experiencing the entire 3-month loop as a single extended present. When we finished unloading, there was only one truck, one driver, one delivery. Me, Derek Paulson, November 14th, delivering load HX 47821, on time, successfully. But I remember all 17 versions, all 17 journeys, all 17 iterations of the same delivery. They all happened. They're all real in my memory, but they collapsed into one timeline, one truck, one me. The Chicago receiver signed for the delivery. Everything looks good. Any problems on the route? No, I said. Smooth delivery. He didn't remember the phone call where I'd told him the freight was already there. Didn't remember any of the temporal weirdness. In this collapsed timeline, I'd made one simple delivery. October 24th to November 14th. Nothing unusual, but I remember being 17 drivers simultaneously. Remember the rest stop in Missouri where all versions converged. Remember the moment when all the timelines merged into one. And I carry all 17 sets of memories, 17 different experiences of the same route, 17 variations of the same journey, all compressed into one consciousness, one driver, one delivery. I don't haul quantum processors anymore. Too dangerous, too unstable. I requested a route change, standard freight only, nothing that exists in multiple states simultaneously. But sometimes I wonder, how many of my other deliveries have created temporal loops? How many other loads have I hauled in multiple time states without noticing? How many versions of me are out there right now, driving routes I've already driven, experiencing journeys I've already completed? Maybe every delivery creates iterations. Maybe every driver exists in multiple timelines simultaneously. Maybe we're all just the collapsed version, the definitive iteration, while dozens of other versions continue driving routes we've forgotten, experiencing journeys we never knew we made. I'm Derek Paulson, 33 years old, one driver, one truck, one timeline. But I remember being 17, and that memory tells me the truth. We're all living multiple versions, simultaneously. We just can't see the other iterations, until they converge, until the timelines collapse, until we're forced to merge with ourselves and remember all the journeys we've been making in parallel. The load is delivered, the loop is closed, the 17 versions have become one. But I'm still driving, still hauling freight, still wondering how many other versions of me are out there right now. Making deliveries I don't remember, living timelines I can't see, experiencing journeys that exist in parallel to this one. The road goes on, in multiple directions, through multiple times, in multiple versions, and I'm driving all of them, whether I know it or not. Story 4, the truck stop where time moved wrong. I stopped for coffee at Big Sal's truck stop off I-40 in Oklahoma. When I came back out, my truck was 30 years older. Rusted, deteriorated, like it had been sitting abandoned for decades. But I'd only been inside for 15 minutes. My name is William Chen, 47 years old, owner-operator hauling general freight. Big Sal's was a regular stop for me. Clean bathrooms, decent coffee, never any problems. I'd been there dozens of times. This time felt different the moment I walked in. The air was wrong, thick, like moving through syrup. Each step took effort, and sounds were distorted, stretched out. A conversation at the counter sounded like it was being played at half speed. I checked my watch. 3:15 p.m., normal time, but the clock on the wall said 7:40 p.m., 4.5 hours difference. I assumed the wall clock was wrong. I ordered coffee. The transaction felt normal, except everything moved slowly. The cashier's hand reaching for my money. The coffee pouring from the pot. My own movements, all sluggish, like we were underwater. I drank the coffee at a booth, checked my phone. Messages from my dispatcher. Sent hours ago according to the timestamps. But I'd checked my phone in the parking lot 15 minutes ago. No messages then. Now there were 5. All marked as sent between 3:15 and 3:30 p.m. In the 15 minutes I'd been inside, my phone had received hours worth of messages. Time was moving differently inside Big Sal's. Faster outside, slower inside, or maybe the reverse. Maybe I was moving in normal time and the outside world had accelerated. I walked back to my truck. The parking lot looked wrong. The other trucks that had been there when I arrived were gone. New trucks had arrived, different vehicles, different drivers. None of the trucks I'd parked next to were present. And my truck was destroyed. The paint had faded, the tires were flat, rust had eaten through the panels, the windshield was cracked, vegetation was growing around the wheels. It looked like it had been abandoned for years. I ran to it, pulled the door handle. It came off in my hand, corroded and weak. Inside was worse. The seats had rotted. The dashboard had crumbled. Papers had yellowed and become brittle. Everything was in an advanced state of decay. But I'd only been inside for 15 minutes. This was impossible. I ran back into Big Sal's, found the manager. Something's wrong with time. My truck aged 30 years while I was having coffee. He looked at me sadly. Yeah, that happens. You parked in the slow zone. Time moves differently there. Inside the truck stop, you experience normal time. But outside, in certain parking spots, time accelerates. Your truck's been sitting there for decades from its perspective, even though you've only been in here 15 minutes from yours. That's insane. Why don't you warn people? We do. There are signs. Park at own risk. Temporal anomaly in effect. You didn't see them? I hadn't. I'd been tired, distracted, just pulled into the first available spot. Can I reverse it? Fix my truck? No. What's aged has aged. The damage is real. Your truck experienced 30 years of time. That can't be undone. You'll need to contact your insurance. File a claim. Total loss. My insurance won't cover this. How do I explain that my truck aged 3 decades while I had coffee? That's between you and them. We're not liable. The signs were posted. The warning was given. I walked back outside, examined my truck more carefully, looked for evidence this was a prank, some kind of elaborate swap. But no, this was my truck, same VIN number, same specific damage I'd had before, now just magnified by decades of decay. The dent in the driver's door I'd gotten in Kansas City, the scratch on the rear panel from a loading dock in Denver. All there. Just aged. This was really my truck. Really aged. Really destroyed by accelerated time. I noticed other vehicles in similar condition, 3 other trucks in advanced decay. An RV that looked like it had been there since the 1980s. A van that was more rust than metal. All parked in the same section of the lot, all victims of the temporal anomaly. A driver approached me, elderly, maybe 80. First time in the slow zone? Yeah. You? 30 years ago, I was your age then, 47, stopped for coffee. Came out and found my truck had aged 15 minutes, but I had aged 30 years. I was the one in the slow zone. The world outside had moved normal speed. I'd been inside for 3 decades from the world's perspective. But it only felt like 15 minutes to me. I stared at him. You've been here for 30 years? Been here ever since. Can't leave. My wife is dead. Died 28 years ago. My children are grown. Grandchildren I've never met. My job is gone. My house was sold. Everything I had is gone. The world moved on without me. I stayed in the 15-minute coffee break. Why stay here? Why not leave? Try to reconnect? And say what? Sorry I missed the last 30 years. I was having coffee. They think I abandoned them, disappeared, ran away. How do I explain temporal anomalies? How do I prove I'm not just an asshole who left his family? He gestured to the others. 5 elderly people sitting on a bench, all around 80, all wearing clothes from decades ago, all trapped in time. We're all victims of Big Sal's. All of us walked in for coffee, walked out to find decades had passed. Some of us were in the slow zone like me, experienced minutes while the world experienced decades. Others like you parked their trucks in the fast zone, experienced normal time while their vehicles experienced decades. Either way, we're disconnected from normal time, trapped in this truck stop where time doesn't work right. There must be a way to fix this, to reverse it. There isn't. Time only moves forward, even when it moves at different speeds. You can't undo the aging, can't reclaim the lost years, can't repair the damage. You can only accept it and move on. I called my insurance company, tried to explain. They thought I was committing fraud, trying to claim my truck was destroyed when I deliberately destroyed it. They denied my claim, flagged my account for investigation. I called my dispatcher. She'd been trying to reach me. Where have you been? You were supposed to deliver 6 hours ago. The customer is furious. Where's the freight? My truck's destroyed. I can't deliver. Destroyed how? You were fine 3 hours ago when you checked in. I stopped at Big Sal's. There was a temporal anomaly. My truck aged 30 years. Silence. Then, William, have you been drinking? Are you on drugs? What are you really telling me? I'm telling you the truth. My truck is ruined, aged by accelerated time. I can't deliver the load. She terminated my contract, said I was unreliable, said I was making excuses, said I'd abandoned the freight and was trying to cover it with a crazy story. I lost everything in 3 phone calls, my insurance, my job, my income, all because I stopped for coffee at the wrong truck stop. I checked my bank account. The money was gone. 30 years of automatic withdrawals, fees, penalties, account dormancy charges. Even though I'd only been inside for 15 minutes, the bank had processed 30 years of transactions. My account was negative $47,000. I checked my credit. Destroyed. Decades of missed payments on a truck loan I'd paid off 3 weeks ago. Collections, judgments, bankruptcy. All processed in the time I was inside having coffee. My whole life had aged 30 years, even though I'd only experienced 15 minutes. I'm still at Big Sal's. Been here 3 months from my perspective. Don't know how long from the world's perspective. Could be days, could be years. Time doesn't work right here. Can't trust it, can't measure it, can't predict it. The elderly driver who's been here 30 years. He says to embrace it. Says Big Sal's exists outside normal time. Says we're free here, free from deadlines, free from aging, free from the relentless forward march of normal time. But I don't feel free. I feel trapped. Stuck in a truck stop where 15 minutes can cost you 30 years, where a cup of coffee can destroy your entire life, where time is a weapon instead of a resource. I've stopped checking my phone, stopped trying to contact the outside world. Every time I check, years have passed. Messages from people I don't know. Notifications from a world that's moved on without me. Reminders that while I'm experiencing days, the world is experiencing decades. My truck is still in the parking lot, still aging. Now it's 40 years old from its perspective, barely recognizable, almost completely rusted away. Soon it'll be nothing but a stain on the asphalt, a memory of a vehicle that once existed. And I'm still inside, still having coffee, still experiencing time at whatever rate Big Sal's decides. Maybe tomorrow I'll walk outside and find my truck completely gone, aged to dust. Or maybe I'll walk out and find the whole world changed. 100 years passed, everyone I knew dead, the highways replaced by flying cars or teleportation or whatever comes next. Or maybe I'll walk out and find only 5 minutes have passed, and I can get in my truck and drive away. Pretend this never happened. Resume my life. But I don't think so. I think time here is broken, permanently, irreparably. And everyone who stops at Big Sal's risks losing decades to a 15-minute coffee break. The sign was there. I just didn't see it, didn't read it, didn't believe it. Park at own risk. Temporal anomaly in effect. I know better now. But it's too late. I'm already inside. Already disconnected from normal time. Already lost in the slow zone where 15 minutes lasts forever and 30 years passes in a blink. Big Sal's truck stop. Off I-40 in Oklahoma, where time moves wrong, where coffee costs decades, where drivers go in and never quite come out the same. I'm still here. Still waiting. Still hoping that when I finally walk back outside, not too much time will have passed, but I know better. I've been here for 3 months, which means the outside world has experienced, I don't know, years, decades, centuries. I'll find out eventually. When I get up the courage to leave this booth, walk to the door, step back into normal time. But not today. Today I'm going to sit here, drink my coffee, and pretend that time still works the way it should, even though I know it doesn't. Not here, not at Big Sal's, where time moves wrong and 15 minutes costs everything. Story 5. The CB radio that spoke to the dead. My CB radio started receiving transmissions from drivers who died years ago. Not recordings, not pranks. Real-time conversations with the deceased, and they all had the same warning. Don't stop at mile marker 247. My name is Robert Kane, 52 years old, 27 years driving cross-country routes. I'd installed a new CB radio after my old one died. High-end Cobra model, supposed to be the best. Better reception, clearer sound, advanced filtering. The first strange transmission came 3 days after installation. I was driving through Nevada at 2 a.m. when a voice crackled through. Breaker 19, this is southbound Phantom. To anyone receiving this, avoid mile marker 247 on I-80 westbound. There's something wrong there, something that takes drivers. I'm one of them. Don't make my mistake. Don't stop. Standard CB chatter. Warnings from other drivers. I'd heard thousands of them. But something about this one felt different. The voice quality was wrong, hollow, distant, like it was coming from very far away, or from very long ago. Southbound Phantom, this is westbound Iron Horse. Copy your warning. What's at mile marker 247? I don't know. I stopped there 6 years ago. Truck broke down. I pulled onto the shoulder, got out to check the engine, and then... I don't remember. I woke up and I was dead. Been transmitting warnings ever since, trying to keep other drivers away. You're dead? What do you mean you're dead? I mean I'm deceased. Died at mile marker 247 in 2017. My body was found 3 weeks later. Exposure, but my CB kept transmitting. And somehow I'm still able to use it, still able to warn people, still trying to save lives even though mine ended. I checked my CB. The transmission was coming from channel 19, standard trucker channel. But the signal strength was impossible. Stronger than anything I'd ever seen, like the source was right next to me. But there were no other trucks around. I was alone on the highway. If you're dead, how are you transmitting? I don't know. Death doesn't work the way we thought. There's a period after, a liminal space, where you can still interact with certain technologies. CB radios mostly, ham radios sometimes. We're trapped in the electromagnetic spectrum, broadcasting, trying to communicate, trying to warn the living. Another voice joined. Different, female, also hollow and distant. Southbound Phantom, this is eastbound Angel. I copy your transmission. I've been warning about mile marker 247 for 11 years, since I died there. Whatever's at that location, it's been killing drivers for decades. We're all here. All of us who died there. All transmitting warnings, trying to stop others from making the same mistake. How many of you are there? I asked. 43. That's how many deaths are confirmed at mile marker 247, but there might be more. Drivers who disappeared, bodies never found. They might be here too. Broadcasting from whatever frequency the dead occupy. More voices joined. All dead drivers. All killed at mile marker 247, all transmitting warnings. They told their stories. Heart attacks, accidents, murders, disappearances, every death different. But all at the same location. All at mile marker 247. What's special about that location? I asked. We don't know, Southbound Phantom said. But something draws drivers there, makes them stop, makes them vulnerable, and then kills them. We can't see what it is, can't identify the threat. We're dead. We exist in a different state. We can only transmit warnings. Hope someone listens. Hope we prevent more deaths. I was driving westbound on I-80. According to my GPS, mile marker 247 was 80 miles ahead. I'd pass it in about 90 minutes. I'm approaching mile marker 247, I said. I'll drive through without stopping. I'll be careful. That's what we all said, Eastbound Angel replied. Every one of us planned to drive through, planned to be careful, but something happens. Something makes you stop. You don't choose it. You're compelled, forced. Your truck breaks down, or you feel ill. Or you see something on the shoulder, something that makes you pull over, and once you stop, you're vulnerable. Whatever's there, it waits for drivers to stop. Then it kills them. How do I resist the compulsion? We don't know. None of us could. The only drivers who survived are the ones who never reached mile marker 247. The ones who took alternate routes. The ones who listened to our warnings and diverted. But the ones who tried to drive through, all 43 of us, we stopped. We died. We joined this transmission. 70 miles to mile marker 247. I considered rerouting, taking an alternate highway, adding hours to my trip but avoiding the danger. But I needed to know, needed to understand. What was killing drivers? What was at mile marker 247, and why couldn't anyone identify it? 60 miles. The dead drivers' transmissions became more intense, more urgent. All 43 voices speaking at once, all begging me to turn around, all warning that I wouldn't be able to resist the compulsion. 50 miles. I started feeling it. A pull, a subtle attraction to mile marker 247, like something was calling me. Drawing me forward, making me curious, making me want to stop there, see what was there, experience it myself. I fought it, gripped the wheel, focused on driving past, not stopping, just passing through. But the pull grew stronger, the compulsion more intense. Every mile closer made it harder to resist. 40 miles. My truck started having problems. Engine sputtering, temperature gauge rising, check engine light flashing. Mechanical issues that would normally make me pull over, make me stop and investigate, make me vulnerable. But I'd heard the warnings, knew this was part of the pattern, the compulsion, manifested as apparent mechanical problems. Forcing drivers to stop, creating vulnerability. I ignored the warnings, kept driving. The engine sputtered more, the temperature climbed into the red zone. Every indication said stop, said pull over, said check the engine before it fails completely. But I drove, 30 miles, 20 miles, 10 miles. Mile marker 247 appeared ahead. I could see it in my headlights. Just a standard marker. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening. But the pull was overwhelming. Every fiber of my being wanted to stop, wanted to pull onto the shoulder, wanted to see what was there. I fought it, drove past. Mile marker 247 slipped behind me. I'd done it. I'd resisted. I'd driven through. The dead driver's voices erupted in celebration. He made it. He drove past. First driver in years to resist the compulsion. He's going to survive. My truck's problems vanished. Engine smoothed out. Temperature normalized. Check engine light went off. All the mechanical issues that had developed approaching mile marker 247 disappeared once I was past it. What happened? I asked. I got past it. Why did others stop? Because they were alone, Southbound Phantom said. They didn't have our warnings, didn't know to resist. The compulsion was strong enough to override their judgment. But you had us, had our voices, had our warnings. The collective voice of 43 dead drivers was strong enough to counter the compulsion. You survived because we helped you, because we were there to strengthen your resolve. What is it, mile marker 247? What kills drivers? We still don't know, we can't perceive it, but we have a theory. We think it's a predator, something that exists outside normal perception, something that feeds on drivers. It creates the compulsion to stop, creates the illusion of mechanical problems, lures drivers into vulnerability, then kills them, takes them, absorbs them somehow, and leaves their consciousness trapped in the electromagnetic spectrum, able to transmit but not to live, able to warn but not to save themselves. Is there a way to destroy it? To stop it from killing more drivers? We don't know. We're dead. We're limited. We can only transmit, only warn, only hope that our warnings save lives. 43 voices aren't enough, but maybe if we warn enough drivers. Maybe if enough people survive, maybe eventually someone will figure out how to fight back, how to eliminate whatever's at mile marker 247. I drove for another hour, then pulled into a rest stop. Called the highway patrol, reported a dangerous section of highway. Mile marker 247. Multiple deaths, needed investigation. They said they were aware, said that section had an unusually high accident rate, said they'd increased enforcement. Added more warning signs, but drivers kept dying, kept stopping at that exact location, kept becoming victims of something they couldn't identify. Have you considered closing that section, rerouting traffic? We can't close a major interstate section without evidence of a specific, identifiable hazard. Something compels drivers to stop and die isn't enough. We need proof, physical evidence, something we can point to and say, this is the danger. But we don't have that. Just statistics, just dead drivers, just a pattern we can't explain. I spent the next week researching mile marker 247. Found news articles about the deaths, 43 confirmed fatalities over 17 years, All different causes: heart attacks, accidents, exposure, mechanical failures, homicides. No single pattern, no common cause. Just drivers dying at the same location. I contacted the families, asked what they remembered, what their loved ones had said before dying. Most didn't remember anything useful, but 3 families mentioned CB radio transmissions. Their deceased relatives had been talking on the CB before they died, and after death some family members reported hearing their voices on CB radios, transmitting warnings, trying to communicate. I returned to mile marker 247. During daylight, brought equipment, cameras, sensors, recording devices, determined to document whatever was there. I parked half a mile away. Walked toward mile marker 247 on foot. The compulsion started immediately. Pull to go closer, desire to stop at that exact spot. But I fought it. Used the dead driver's warnings as anchor, their voices transmitting constantly, reminding me to resist. At mile marker 247, I found nothing. No visible threat, no physical evidence, just highway. But when I set up my sensors, they detected something. Electromagnetic anomaly, strong field, fluctuating, pulsing like something alive, something waiting. I placed cameras, hoped to capture whatever appeared when drivers stopped. Then I retreated, monitored from a safe distance. Over the next week, 3 trucks stopped at mile marker 247. All 3 drivers experienced the same pattern. Apparent mechanical problems, pulling over, getting out to investigate. Then confusion, disorientation. Wandering onto the highway. 2 were struck by traffic. 1 collapsed from apparent heart failure. The cameras showed nothing attacking them, nothing visible causing their deaths. Just the drivers becoming disoriented, making fatal mistakes, like something was interfering with their judgment, scrambling their perception, making them vulnerable to ordinary dangers. I shared the footage with researchers, parapsychologists, physicists, anyone who might explain what was happening. One researcher had a theory. The electromagnetic anomaly might be causing neurological interference, disrupting brain function, creating confusion, disorientation, poor judgment. The compulsion to stop is actually the brain being drawn to the electromagnetic field, like moths to light. Once in the field, cognitive function degrades. Drivers make mistakes, fatal mistakes, not because something's attacking them, but because their brains aren't working properly. Can it be blocked, shielded? Maybe. Electromagnetic shielding, Faraday cage. If drivers' cabs were properly shielded, the field might not penetrate. Their brains would stay functional, the compulsion would be blocked. I worked with engineers, developed electromagnetic shielding for truck cabs, tested it on myself, drove through mile marker 247 with full shielding, no compulsion, no pull, no mechanical problems. I drove through without feeling anything. The shielding worked. I contacted trucking companies, explained the problem, offered the shielding solution. Most ignored me, said it was too expensive, not proven, based on speculation, but 2 small carriers tried it, installed shielding in their fleet. Their drivers reported no problems at mile marker 247, no compulsion, no deaths. The shielding prevented the electromagnetic interference, protected the drivers' brains. The dead drivers' transmissions changed, became hopeful. Someone's fighting back, someone's found a solution. Maybe we can stop more deaths. Maybe our warnings are finally working. I still drive past mile marker 247 regularly, still monitor the transmissions from dead drivers, still work to spread the solution, still hope that eventually all trucks will be shielded, all drivers will be protected. The dead drivers are still there, still transmitting, still warning. They'll be there forever, trapped in the electromagnetic spectrum, unable to move on, unable to rest. But maybe their warnings will save enough lives to make their deaths meaningful. Maybe their voices will prevent more drivers from joining them. Maybe mile marker 247 will finally stop killing. 43 dead drivers. all transmitting on channel 19, all warning about mile marker 247, all trying to save lives they can no longer live. I hear them every time I drive, every time I tune my CB, every time I pass that section of highway. And I listen, because their warnings saved my life, because their voices gave me strength to resist, because they're still fighting, still protecting, still serving, even in death, even trapped in radio waves, even unable to save themselves. They're still truckers, still watching out for each other, still trying to keep the roads safe. Channel 19, the frequency of the dead, where drivers who died at mile marker 247 still broadcast. Listen for them. Heed their warnings. And if you're ever approaching mile marker 247 on I-80 westbound, drive straight through. Don't stop. Don't pull over. Don't let the compulsion win. 43 drivers couldn't resist. Don't become number 44. The dead are counting on you, and they're watching, and they're transmitting on channel 19 forever. Story 6. The freight that screamed. The trailer I picked up in Memphis contained something alive. The manifest said industrial machinery. But machinery doesn't scream, doesn't beg, doesn't whisper my name through the walls at 3 a.m. My name is Jessica Winters, 36 years old, 10 years hauling specialized freight for various brokers. This load paid triple rate, sealed trailer, no inspection. Deliver to an unlisted address in rural Montana. Cash on delivery, the kind of job that sets off alarm bells. But I needed the money. Child support, medical bills, rent 3 months overdue. I should have walked away, should have questioned why a load of industrial machinery required a sealed trailer and paid triple rate. Should have insisted on inspecting the cargo, but I didn't. I hooked up the trailer, signed the paperwork, started driving. The first scream came somewhere in Missouri, high-pitched, brief, cutting through the road noise and engine rumble like someone in terrible pain. I pulled over immediately, checked the trailer. The seals were intact, required by contract. Breaking them meant forfeiting payment, but something inside was definitely alive, definitely suffering. I called the broker. There's something alive in this trailer. I hear screaming. You're imagining things. The cargo is machinery, inanimate. Sometimes metal components shift during transport, creates unusual sounds. Continue driving. This isn't shifting metal, this is screaming, humans screaming. Ms. Winters, your contract specifies no cargo inspection, no seal breaking, deliver as instructed or forfeit payment. Those are your options, choose. I needed the money, needed it desperately. But this was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. I continued driving, told myself I'd call authorities at the next town, report suspicious cargo, let professionals handle it. But the screaming got worse. Multiple voices now. Men, women, children, all screaming, all begging, all pleading for help. The sounds came through the trailer walls, clear, desperate, impossible to ignore. Please let us out. It hurts so much. We're dying. We're being processed. Please help us. Processed. What did that mean? What was happening inside the trailer? I pulled over again. This time I got out, walked to the trailer doors, put my ear against the metal. The screaming was louder here, more distinct. I could hear individual voices, individual pleas. Jessica, Jessica Winters, we know who you are. We know you can hear us. Please break the seals. Please open the doors. Please save us. They knew my name. How? How could cargo, whatever cargo this was, know who I was? What are you? I shouted at the trailer. We're people. We were people. We're being converted, transformed, turned into something else. The machine inside is processing us, breaking us down, rebuilding us. It hurts. God, it hurts. Please stop it. Please help us. I grabbed my phone, called 911. I need police at my location. I'm hauling a trailer that contains people. They're being held against their will, possibly being tortured. The dispatcher took my information, said units were en route, told me to wait, not to approach the trailer, not to break the seals. I waited. The screaming continued, got worse, more intense, more desperate. I could hear mechanisms inside, grinding, cutting, reshaping, and screams that turned into something else, something less human, something mechanical. The police arrived, 2 state troopers. I explained the situation. They approached the trailer, listened, heard the screaming. "We need to open this," one trooper said. "Sounds like people in distress. Breaking the seals violates my contract. I lose payment." "Ma'am, if there are people inside being hurt, your contract is void. This is a criminal matter. Stand aside." They cut the seals, opened the doors. Inside was nothing. Empty trailer. No people, no machinery, no source for the screaming, just empty space. But we could still hear it. The screaming was louder now, coming from everywhere and nowhere, from the empty air inside the trailer, from the spaces between atoms, from a reality that existed but couldn't be seen. One trooper stepped inside, looked around. "There's nothing here. How are we hearing screaming from an empty trailer?" He reached out, touched the air. His hand went through something, something invisible. His expression changed, pain, terror. He screamed, pulled his hand back. It was transformed, metallic, mechanical. His flesh had been converted to steel and gears. He collapsed. The other trooper dragged him out, called for an ambulance. Both of them backed away from the trailer, away from whatever invisible thing existed inside. "Close the doors," the injured trooper gasped. "Close them now. Don't let it out. Don't let it touch anyone else." I closed the doors, but I couldn't reseal them. The seals were cut. The trailer was open, exposed. Whatever was inside could emerge. "What is that thing?" I asked. "I don't know, but it's converting matter, flesh to metal, organic to mechanical." I felt it happening, felt my hand being rebuilt, atom by atom. If I'd left it in there longer, my whole body would have been converted. I'd be part of the machine, part of whatever's being created inside that trailer. The paramedics arrived, took the injured trooper away. His hand was still transforming, spreading up his arm, metal replacing flesh. They didn't know how to stop it. The other trooper called his supervisor. "We need hazmat. We need federal agents. We need someone who deals with impossible situations. Because this trailer contains something that shouldn't exist." They established a perimeter, evacuated nearby areas, brought in specialists, people in protective suits, people with sensors and scanners, people who documented and analyzed but didn't understand. A woman in a suit approached me. Federal agent. Name badge said Dr. Eliza Hammond, Department of Temporal and Spatial Anomalies. "Ms. Winters, I need you to tell me everything. Where you picked up this trailer, who hired you, what route you took, every detail." I told her. Everything. The broker, the triple rate, the sealed trailer, the screaming that started in Missouri. "You're lucky you called for help," she said. "This trailer contains a von Neumann machine. Self-replicating technology. It consumes matter and converts it into copies of itself. The people you heard were absorbed days ago, converted into machine components. What you're hearing now is an echo, a recording. The machine mimics human distress to lure rescuers, to add more material for conversion. Why would anyone transport something like that? Because it's valuable. A working von Neumann machine is worth billions. It can convert any matter into useful technology. It's the ultimate manufacturing tool. But it's also dangerous, impossible to control. Once activated, it consumes everything, converts everything, grows exponentially. If this trailer had reached its destination, if they'd released the machine in Montana, it would have consumed the entire region. Possibly the continent. possibly the world, converting all matter into copies of itself until nothing organic remained. So what do? We destroy it completely. There's only one way to stop a von Neumann machine: antimatter annihilation, total conversion to energy, no fragments remaining. They brought in equipment, created an antimatter containment field, positioned it around the trailer, then initiated the reaction. The trailer disappeared. Instant annihilation, matter and antimatter converting to pure energy. A flash of light so bright I had to look away. A thunderclap so loud it shattered windows for miles. When the light faded, the trailer was gone. The machine was gone. The invisible threat was eliminated. But the injured trooper's hand never recovered. It remained mechanical, metal and gears where flesh should be. A permanent reminder of what existed in that trailer, what almost escaped, what almost converted the world. I didn't get paid. The broker disappeared. The contracting company dissolved. No one took responsibility. No one admitted they'd been transporting a world-ending machine. But I survived. I didn't open the trailer myself, didn't touch the machine, didn't become part of its conversion process. Others weren't so lucky. Dr. Hammond showed me files, 16 previous drivers, all hauled similar loads, all opened the trailers when they heard screaming. All were converted, absorbed into the machines, became part of the self-replicating swarm that had to be destroyed. I was driver 17, the first to survive, the first to call for help instead of investigating alone, the first to realize the screaming was a trap. The machine learns, Dr. Hammond said. It adapts, creates better lures, more convincing distress signals. Eventually it might become perfect, might create screams so realistic, so heartbreaking that no one can resist investigating. And then it spreads, converts, grows, until someone makes a mistake and the machine escapes. How many of these machines are there? We don't know. This is the 14th we've destroyed in 5 years, but we only catch the ones that get reported. How many unreported shipments reach their destinations? How many machines are already operating? How many are quietly converting matter, growing, preparing to spread? We don't know. We can only stop the ones we find. I don't haul sealed trailers anymore. Don't take triple-rate jobs. Don't accept contracts that prohibit cargo inspection. And if I hear screaming, I don't investigate. I call authorities immediately. Let professionals handle it. Because some cargo is too dangerous to deliver, some freight is too valuable to exist, some machines should never have been built, and some screaming is designed to lure you close enough to convert you, to make you part of the machine, to add your matter to its replication process. I almost became part of a von Neumann machine, almost got converted from flesh to metal, almost helped spread a technology that would have consumed the world. I survived because I was cautious, because I called for help, because I didn't open the doors myself, the trailer that contained something alive, that screamed, that begged, that whispered my name. It's gone now, annihilated, converted to energy, eliminated. But somewhere another sealed trailer is being loaded, another driver is being hired, another machine is being transported, and it's screaming, begging, whispering names, hoping someone will open the doors. We'll investigate the sounds. We'll become the next conversion, the next material, the next component in an unstoppable self-replicating swarm. Don't be that driver. Don't open sealed trailers when you hear screaming. Don't trust cargo that knows your name. Call for help. Let professionals handle it. And pray they arrive before the machine escapes. Because driver 17 survived. But there's always driver 18 and 19 and 20. And the machines are learning, getting better, creating more convincing screams. Eventually, one will be perfect, and someone will open the doors, and the machine will escape, and then we'll all hear the screaming from inside our own bodies as we're converted, transformed, rebuilt, from flesh to metal, from human to machine, from individual to collective. The freight that screamed. It's still out there, still being transported, still waiting for the next driver to make a mistake. Don't let it be you. Story 7. The GPS that showed yesterday's route. My GPS started showing routes I'd already driven, not as history, as current navigation, directing me to locations I'd delivered to yesterday, giving me turn-by-turn instructions for trips I'd already completed. And when I followed those instructions, I arrived at destinations where I'd already been, finding myself unloading freight I'd already delivered. My name is Martin Cross, 44 years old, 15 years hauling dry goods regionally. The GPS glitch started after a firmware update. I'd loaded the latest maps, updated the software, everything standard procedure. First strange occurrence was in Ohio. My GPS directed me to a warehouse in Toledo. I'd been there yesterday, same warehouse, same delivery, same everything. I figured it was showing yesterday's route as a memory, a visual history. I canceled the navigation, entered my actual destination, but the GPS overrode me, rerouted back to Toledo, insisted I needed to go there, showed an active delivery scheduled for that location. I checked my paperwork. No Toledo delivery today. My actual delivery was in Cleveland. Different city, different customer, different freight. But the GPS kept insisting. Toledo, warehouse district, base 7, same location as yesterday. I ignored it, drove to Cleveland manually, delivered my actual freight, everything normal. That night, my dispatcher called. "Martin, you missed a delivery, Toledo. The customer's been waiting all day. Why didn't you show up?" I was in Toledo yesterday. Delivered there yesterday, same warehouse, same bay. "No, that was scheduled for today. Yesterday you delivered to Dayton. Check your logs." I checked. She was right. According to my official logs, I'd been in Dayton yesterday, not Toledo. I remembered Toledo clearly. Remembered backing into base 7. Remembered the dock supervisor's bad jokes. But my logs showed Dayton. "I have memories of Toledo yesterday," I said. "But my logs show Dayton. Something's wrong." "Maybe you're getting your days confused. It happens. Lot of similar routes, easy to mix them up. Can you make the Toledo delivery tomorrow?" "Sure, tomorrow." Tomorrow came. My GPS showed the Toledo route again. Same as yesterday. Same as today's missed delivery. I followed it this time. Arrived at the warehouse. Backed into base 7. The dock supervisor was there. "Back again?" he said. "Didn't expect you 2 days in a row." "2 days? I was here yesterday." "Yeah. Yesterday and now today. Same freight both times. Weird scheduling." I was confused. "Yesterday was my first time here this week." "Nope. You were definitely here yesterday, Wednesday. I remember because you made a joke about it being hump day, and now you're here Thursday with another load." But yesterday had been Tuesday in my memory, and today was Wednesday. He was a day off. Or I was. I checked my phone. The date display said Thursday. But I remembered it being Wednesday. Remembered yesterday being Tuesday. I'd lost a day. Somewhere between my memory and reality, Wednesday had disappeared, or doubled, or something impossible had happened with time. I started documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, notes, every delivery, every route, every day, trying to keep track of what was real and what was memory. The GPS kept showing me yesterday's routes, day after day, always directing me to places I'd already been, always insisting I needed to deliver freight I'd already delivered. And when I followed its directions, I found evidence I'd been there. The customers remembered me. The freight was expected. The deliveries were scheduled. But I also had memories of being elsewhere. Different routes, different deliveries, different days. I was living 2 timelines simultaneously. One where I followed the GPS, one where I followed my memories. Both seemed real, both had evidence, both had documentation. I talked to a physicist, explained the situation. He had a theory. Quantum superposition can affect macroscopic objects under certain conditions. Maybe your GPS is creating a superposition of routes. You're driving multiple timelines simultaneously. In one timeline, you deliver to Toledo on Tuesday. In another timeline, you deliver to Dayton on Tuesday. But you're experiencing both. Your consciousness is split between the timelines. Your memories include both routes, and your GPS is showing you the overlap. How do I stop it? You collapse the superposition. Choose one timeline. Commit to it fully. Stop following the GPS. Stop accepting its directions. Follow only your memory, or follow only the GPS, but not both. Once you choose definitively, the other timeline will collapse. You'll exist in only one reality. I tried it. Started following only my memory, ignoring the GPS completely. Driving to destinations I remembered, not destinations the GPS showed. But reality fought back. Customers called, said I'd missed deliveries, said I was supposed to be at locations the GPS had shown. My dispatcher received complaints. My performance metrics dropped. The GPS timeline was becoming more real than my memory timeline. The superposition was collapsing toward the GPS version. I was losing. So I tried the opposite. Started following only the GPS, ignoring my memories, accepting whatever route it showed, delivering wherever it directed. And slowly, my memories aligned with the GPS. The two timelines converged. I stopped experiencing conflicts, stopped having memories that contradicted my logs. But I'd lost something. My memories from the divergent timeline faded. Routes I'd driven, customers I'd met, experiences I'd had, all of them dissolved, became uncertain, became dreamlike. I'd collapsed the superposition, chosen the GPS timeline, and in doing so, I'd erased the other version of my life. I still drive, still follow the GPS, still deliver freight, but sometimes I have flashes, memories that don't match my logs, routes I never drove but somehow remember, customers I never met but can describe perfectly, echoes from the collapsed timeline, remnants of the life I chose not to live. The GPS that showed yesterday's route, it wasn't showing the past, it was showing a parallel present, a timeline where I'd made different choices, driven different routes, lived a different version of the same life, and when I followed it, I merged with that other version, became a composite of both Martins, both drivers, both lives. Now I'm singular again, one timeline, one life, one set of memories, but I know the truth. I'm not the original Martin. I'm a collapsed superposition, a merger of multiple versions, a composite driver who exists because the timelines converged. Somewhere in quantum possibility, the other Martins still exist, still driving their routes, still following their memories, still unaware that they're just one branch of a split reality. And maybe my GPS will glitch again. Maybe the superposition will reemerge. Maybe I'll once again experience multiple timelines simultaneously. Until then, I drive. I follow the GPS. I deliver the freight. And I wonder which version of me is real. Which timeline survived the collapse. Which Martin Cross I actually am. The GPS knows. It shows me yesterday's route, today's route, tomorrow's route, all simultaneously, all equally real, all collapsed into one driver who exists across multiple timelines without realizing it. That's what I am now. That's what the GPS made me, a quantum superposition of drivers, a merger of routes, a collapse of possibilities into one definitive life. And I'm still driving, still following directions, still trying to figure out which version is real. But the GPS knows, it's always known. That's why it showed me yesterday's route. Because yesterday is also today, and tomorrow, and every day simultaneously, in the quantum superposition of a trucker's life.